Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, let's be honest. This administration is now in the process of collectively punishing refugees because their applications, sometimes pending for years, were approved under the prior administration. My colleagues on the right, though, are eerily silent about the speedy approvals of South African Afrikaner refugees who are not even going through the typical UN referral process and are being screened and admitted more rapidly than any other group of refugees going back to 1980. Now, look, I believe that anyone who can show they are eligible should have a fair review of their application. My first question is for Mr. Schwartz. Can you tell us what you're seeing on the ground in Minnesota and how refugees are being treated?
Well, it's heartbreaking. And of course, I'm at a university. So day in and day out, I'm probably seeing the more elite of the refugee and immigrant population. People who have more means, better understanding of the legal system. But the stories that I've heard, a student of mine whose wife was here legally, she works at a hospice, for goodness sake, and she was detained by ICE or CBP, I don't know which. Had an awful circumstance, was suffering from various medical conditions, and was so traumatized by the experience of being detained and the treatment that she faced that she's now back in her home country because she just didn't want to have anything.
Usually both a lot of physical as well as mental trauma.
The trauma, but also stories of families ripped apart, people being flown to different parts of the country, to Texas, when they're finally determined not to merit incarceration in terms of ICE and CBP's enforcement priorities, they're released, but they're not given the wherewithal to return home. And this isn't coming from me only. I mean, you've got federal court cases, federal judge Menendez, another federal judge whose name escapes me, I think it was a federal judge Schlitz, who've issued these opinions, and with evidence. You've got the human rights organizations there. This is not, this
Let me
is all
interrupt you for
documented
just a second
stuff.
here, because I know you have a ton to share, but I want to make sure that this committee benefits from your expertise, your experience, and your research. How easy is it to become a refugee?
Oh my goodness. First of all, refugees, don't volunteer to be refugees. They're referred. The United States developed a system over many, many years in which the referrals come from the UN High Commissioner for Refugees.
And as a refugee or someone seeking, applying, do they control which administration reviews and acts upon their application?
They do not. And the vetting system has become more and more arduous over the years. There is no person traveling to the United States who goes through a more thorough vetting, overseas interviews, biometric screening, and for countries in conflict, not just Somalia, but for countries in conflict, another level of vetting, because people understand that when you're in a country of conflict, there are various factions and there are concerns that U.S. security has to take account of, and which the United States has.
Thank you. Thank you. In my time remaining, I do want to ask Ms. Gambler a question. It's a yes or no question. Is the GAO currently assessing whether the speedy processing of South African Afrikaners is meeting the same standard laid out in the GAO's fraud risk framework?
Thank you, Ranking Member Padilla. We do not have, no, we do not have current work assessing those processes.
Okay, that's very telling. I'm hoping there's going to be another round of questions, but I'll end with this one. Back to Mr. Schwartz. As we heard the opening statements from the majority witnesses, they seem to be implying that our immigration officers and consular affairs professionals and adjudicators don't have the ability to do the biometric checks and other key elements of vetting and reviewing. Would you agree with that, or how would you respond?
Well, in the refugee admissions context with which I'm most familiar, I think the amount of resources by the advent of the Trump administration that have been devoted to that task, and after all, a majority of Somalis who have come into the United States have come in as refugees initially. I think the efforts were serious, credible, and very defensible. But I think we can always devote more resources to addressing issues of fraud, of course.
Thank you.
Senator Kennedy.